Greetings everyone, this is Alt Lexington on the 20th of September 2019, and today I'm in my Operations Miracle Worker cruiser, the engineering variant. And I've got a bit of an unusual build that I've been messing around with today to show off. It's a kind of sort of theme-ish build for Miracle Worker. So let's start and get right into it. I've got a phaser build on here using the Quantum Phase 3-piece set. I believe it's available for free from the episode Sunrise. Let's have a look. Episodes... Is it Iconium or no? It's Future Proof episode Sunrise.
With the war over, it's time for us to rebuild, to take stock of our situation, and to return to our roots.
It's the Quantum Phase weapon set, not to be confused with the Quantum Phase space set, which is available from the following episode.
Has fallen into the hands of the Tholians. Our intelligence indicates
that is the Quantum Phase space set, but we're using the Quantum Phase weapon set from the Sunrise episode. It consists of a beam, a torpedo, and a console. The whole point of this set is for shield draining of the enemy. I mean, this beam array has a 2.5% chance to drain a heck of a lot of enemy shields, and it will restore your own shields with that energy that it drains from the enemy. The torpedo will reduce enemy shields as well, and the console will boost all of the phaser beams on your ship, all phaser weapons, but it also helps with drain as well. And if we click for more details, because I'm using the 3-piece set, you can see I get a bonus that doubles the potency of my drains. But for having all 3 pieces, that's for having 2 pieces, for having all 3 pieces like I'm using, I also get a clicky that provides a beam that can last up to 10 seconds depending on whether you've got it aligned on the target or not. If it's aligned up, it can last up to 10 seconds, and it does a heck of a lot of draining, similar to a tachyon beam. This clicky is quite a useful weapon. It's like having an extra 9th weapon on your ship, but it can only be fired once per match, so you might want to save it for the big target. I'm also using agony phaser beam arrays, although they're not completely totally upgraded. Got 2 on the back as well. And these have a 2.5 chance to disable a target. Let me just go into more details to make sure that's correct. Yes, it has a chance to briefly disable the target. I'm also using the Borg cutting beam from the Omega reputation. These agony phasers are from the Terran lockbox, I believe. I'm also using the Borg kinetic cutting beam along with its console for the 2-piece bonus. which prevents my weapons from draining so quickly. So I don't run out of weapon energy. But the console also gives you critical chance and critical severity, which is good. And I've got a standard omnidirectional phaser beam on the back as well. I could put an agony phaser here, but I wanted to go with something that would fire in all directions. It's just a standard omnidirectional phaser. I had it, so I figured why not use it. I'm using the colony deflector for its critical chance and critical severity. The critical chance will allow me to get bullseyes on the targets more often, and the critical severity will increase the damage of those bullseyes over what a standard shot does. And the colony warp core, because I had to have a warp core from somewhere, and I figured what the hell, it's a good warp core with its 66% power transfer rate. And I've gone with the 2 pieces of the Nukara End Space Reputation set. Because I don't like the competitive engine that most people would choose, because it gives me power boosts at the wrong time, speed boosts at the wrong time. And the reason I went with 2 pieces of the Nukara set, because they're pretty good on their own, but together you get 5% bonus weapon damage, which is useful on this ship. I've got 2 Lobby Store consoles, this one for the critical severity, binaural infusion circuits, and this one mostly for speed and turn rate, because this isn't a fast ship, but it's also good for critical chance and critical severity. I've got Timeline Stabilizer, which I believe comes from the Krenim Science Vessel, which was a free ship from an event a while back. And it reduces the cooldown on my science bridge abilities, but that's not where I've got it, because I'm not using much sciencey type abilities on this ship. I've got it for its clicky that gives me firing cycle haste, speeds up my weapon shooting, so instead of going pew pew pew, I'm going pew 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 pew. I've also got the disentanglement suite, because I'm running with high auxiliary on this build. This will give me critical chance and critical severity based on my auxiliary power level, which is running high. However, that's not why I've got it on here. I've got it on here for its shielding, because it increases my maximum shield capacity, and I'm going to need them on this, as you'll see later. I'm going to need good shielding and good hull. I've got this disentanglement suite is free from a episode. I believe it's from the Iconian War episode called Butterfly.
The research teams in the Kiana system require your assistance.
It's part of a set, but I'm not using the other set pieces. But it's a damn good console for anyone to have. I'm also using dynamic power redistribution module, because it's got some great resistances, and also it increases your weapon damage. I've got it paired with another one from its set that increases projectile damage, which isn't really why I've got it. I've just got it to be a pair to the dynamic power redistribution. This point defense bombardment warhead has a clicky that fires a projectile at your target, and while that projectile is approaching your target, it will shoot at it until it gets within a certain range, then it will detonate. Then the projectile will detonate, with a huge explosion that looks pretty cool. That's the clicky. Mostly I've got these 2 pieces on is for the 2-piece bonus. 33% phaser damage for all my phaser weapons. Also, I should mention that Dynamic comes with a clicky down here that increases phaser damage as well. Well, any weapon damage. And increases resistances. So not only does it increase weapon damage and resistances passively, when you click its clicky, it will do that as well, more so. And I've got vulnerability locators from the Fleet Spire, the Dyson Sphere Fleet Spire, all set for phaser, modded for phaser. Got 3 in the tactical slots and 1 in the universal slot because Miracle Worker ships have an extra slot, console slot. I should mention that this point defense bombardment comes from the Lobby Store ship, the Captain Archer's Enterprise, the NX class Enterprise, from the Enterprise series. I'm not using any consumables on this ship because I don't tend to like using consumables in my day-to-day play, so I've left these empty. You could put energy amplifiers in here, or deuterium surplus, or what's that? Oh, I haven't got it available at the moment, but it's a whole thing from your R&D engineering school. Where is it? There it is. Reactive armor catalyst. But I tend to not bother with consumables during my day-to-day play, so I've left these 2 blank. Temporal Negotiator to reduce the cooldown for my engineering team whole heal, which is this. And red matter capacitor because it gives you a nice clicky that improves your power level. These power levels down here, these 4 power levels. My skills are the same as always, tactical ultimate, because it's too much hassle to change them. For specializations, for my secondary, I've got strategist, which gives me threatening stance. Hang on, you have threatening stance anyway. It gives me diversionary tactics to increase my threat level or decrease it as I choose, depending on whether I've got threatening stance activated or not. But I very rarely use threatening stance. I normally use it just for diversionary tactics, so that I can decrease my threat. Strategist is good to increase your shields. And if you're feeling daring, you can click on threatening stance, attract fire. You click on attract fire, then threatening stance, then diversionary tactics, and you'll be taking a lot of damage from the enemy like a tank. But this isn't a tank build, so I won't be doing that. I've just got them there because there was an empty slot to fill. Whereas diversionary tactics, I will be using that one because on its own, without any threatening stance or attract fire, it can decrease your threat. So the enemy won't know you're a dangerous threat to them. So they won't concentrate their firepower on you as much. I'm not sure I'm explaining that well. And because this is a Miracle Worker theme build, I've gone with Miracle Worker specialization as my primary, and it gives bonus hull healing, which is what I'm going to need on this ship when you see my bridge officer station shortly. For traits, superior beam training, and beam barrage to increase my beam's damage. EPS overload. If you can see, with high auxiliary you get an extra 20% critical severity from using this, from having this trait. And with high weapons you get extra critical chance. High weapon power. Now, because of the way I've laid up my bridge officer tools, I'm going to need a lot of healing on this ship. It's not a threat tank or a tank of any kind, but it will require healing. So I've got maximum hull capacity, maximum shield capacity, hull healing improvement, and shield healing improvement. So I can, I've got a lot of hull, and I can heal it quick. Got a lot of shields, and I can heal them quick. I've also got ablative shell for more shielding, and Grace Under Fire to reduce the cooldown for my miraculous repairs, because this ship, it will take damage, even though it's not a tank. It will take self-inflicted damage, but we'll get to that when we get to my bridge officer stations. For starship traits, I've got emergency weapon cycle to speed up my firing, I believe this comes from the Arbiter battlecruiser. Cold-Hearted, I believe, comes from the Breen Raider, which reduces the flight speed and damage resistance of the enemy. Honored Dead will give me better healing, a lot of good healing, and a lot of good hit points. Yeah, that's it. It will give me hit points and damage resistance, so it will help keep me repaired for when I take damage. I'm not sure where this came from. I didn't get the ship that it comes from. I got it from a lockbox. I believe it was the same lockbox that one of the Discovery ships came from. The sarcophagus, maybe? But I don't know for sure. Supercharged weapons, that comes from one of the Odyssey flagships or scimitars. And every time I fire a torpedo, it will make my weapons better. My energy weapons better. And highly specialized, because I'm using a lot of bridge officer specialist tools on this ship, so I need to cool it down. I'm using a lot of miracle worker tools for my bridge officer stations, so I need to cool them, reduce the cooldown on them, so I can use them more often. So that's why I've had highly specialized. It gives me a 5% cooldown reduction, but it's also good for healing and critical hits. For my reputation, more shield regeneration, which is good. Shield resistance, which is good, prevents my shields getting drained, and this heals them quicker. I believe this is from the Lucari reputation, from the tier 6 Lucari. Oh, I can't remember quite. I think this is from the Gamma Quadrant reputation. And tactical advantage for armor penetration. Flight speed and turn rate, because this ship would be slow without it. And more damage resistance. This trait is like a piece of armor. And for my active reputation, I've just got all the useful space ones. The cloak, temporary cloak, a good decoy, the anti-time bubble, the healing bubble, and the chaining tetrion damage. Now here's where it gets interesting. The bridge officers. As you can see, I'm not using emergency power to weapons, which you might think is a bit odd. But instead of that, I've gone for exceed rated limits. When I click this down here, it will temporarily reduce my weapon damage, but once that reduction is finished, it will then increase my weapon damage for up to 10 seconds. For example, if we look at my weapon damage on this phaser here, it's 2098.6, is that? Now if I click this, and then we watch the number, it drops for a short time, but then increases, and it will remain increased for, I believe, about 10 seconds before it drops back down again. So it's similar to emergency power to weapons, maybe not as effective, but this is a miracle worker theme build. And now it's dropped back down again. It does cause damage to you, but with all the healing I've got, you barely notice it. With all the regeneration. I'm also not using fire at will or beam overload. And I'm not using torpedo spread or high yield torpedo. And I'm not using anything to do with cannons, scatter or rapid, because I'm not using cannons at all. So this is an unusual build, very unusual. It's relying heavily on miracle worker tools. I've also got narrow sensor bands, which increases my weapon damage based on distance to target. Kind of like up close and personal or point blank shot, whichever one it is. And no pointer flood, which confuses the enemy. So this is to confuse the enemy. This is to give me increased weapon damage based on distance to target, and this is my standard, give me extra weapon damage. This is kind of like the replacement. Exceed rated limits is kind of like the replacement for emergency power to weapons. And when paired with this, you do get some nice damage coming from it. It's not going to be as much as if I was using fire at will or torpedo spread or emergency power to weapons, but I wanted to try and make a ship that would work without those things, because those things, emergency power to weapons, beam overload, torpedo spread, torpedo high yield, cannon scatter volley, cannon rapid fire, those are all standard on builds, and I wanted to try and make a ship that didn't require them. and also didn't require emergency powered weapons, which is another standard. I wanted to go with something different to see if it would work. And this isn't a powerful ship, but it works. It works for most advanced content in the game. Even if it's not powerful, I'd say I'd get about 40 to 50k in a standard ISA pug, which is enough. And it survives a little better than you'd expect, considering Miracle Worker generally inflicts damage upon yourself, unless you've got a lot of hull and shield capacity and hull and shield regeneration. Destabilize warp core. This is mostly for the fun of it. It does radiation damage to an enemy, and if the enemy dies within 15 seconds of activating this, it will blow up, and then it will blow up a second time. It's like, I blew you up, and then I blew you up again just for laughs. Also, overwhelm power regulators, which has a chance of disabling an enemy's subsystem. Disabling one of these 4 things on an enemy target. Now, the reason I've chosen these Miracle Worker tools is basically because I haven't unlocked some of them, so I had to go with what I had. But the main purpose of this build was to try and make something without the standard tools that people use, such as Fire at Will, the ones I mentioned, Fire at Will, Beam Overload, Torpedo High Yield, Torpedo Spread, Cannon Rapid Fire, Cannon Scatter Volley, and Emergency Powder Weapons. I wanted to make a build without them, because there are 7 abilities that are standard. So, now for the other tools. I mean, this is 5 Miracle Worker tools. For my other tools, I've got Tactical Team to keep my best shields between me and the enemy. Chemosite to add radiation damage to my weapons. And Attack Pattern Beta to debuff the enemy. Engineering Team to heal my hull. And Reverse Shield Polarity to force the enemy weapons to recharge my shields. I could go with emergency power to shields on this build, but I tend to like Reverse Shield Polarity better because it doesn't cost me any shield subsystem power. And I've got hazard emitters for to heal my hull and cleanse debuffs from me. I could go with Science Team to restore my shields, but I feel like I've got a lot of shield regeneration, and if your shields do go down, you're going to need to... Your hull is sort of like your last defense, so you've got to keep that strong. And this is an Aux To Batt build. So I've got auxiliary power to emergency battery on my 2 engineers. So what that will do is, when I click these, it will send my auxiliary power into my emergency battery, which is this green stuff here. That's what most people haven't figured out yet, is you've got your 4 subsystems on your ship, but you've also got a 5th, which is this green emergency battery. So when I hit auxiliary to emergency battery, all this purple energy from auxiliary will go into this green energy on all the other systems. And that green energy feeds into these systems when their own energy goes down. So that's what auxiliary to emergency battery does. But there is also duty officers that you can use in conjunction with it that will reduce the recharge time on most of your tactical bridge officer abilities, I believe, which I'm not using. This build doesn't make any sense at all, but it's just something I'm experimenting with, having fun with. Now, these two officers, my tactical bridge officers, are both superior Romulan operatives, so they're both identical, but let's click on one because it has a trait for increased critical severity and critical chance. This engineer is a Nausicaan who has a trait Pirate for bonus weapon damage. This engineer is a hologram of original series Uhura, and she has a trait, standard human trait, but she also has technician for increasing my weapon and torpedo training. And my science officer is a hierarchy who has two traits to improve my power levels and pirate for weapon damage. This officer is a damn good officer for free from a Delta Quadrant mission, but I can't remember which one right now. So my hierarchy comes from a Delta mission. My holographic Uhura comes from a promotional event that happened a while back. My engineer comes from completing one of my commendation duty officer assignment schools to tier 4. And my Romulan superior operatives come from the Fleet Romulan Embassy. And as for duty officers, in case I fight the Borg, I've got my ground officer that also works in space to give me extra damage. And for my space officers, I've got a specialist space officer that takes up that a percentage of my outgoing damage will be applied as healing, because I'm going to need a lot of healing on this ship. I don't believe he's a miracle worker officer, but I do need the healing. This officer is critical chance for my weapons. This one is critical severity. Now these three are for the are technicians for the Aux To Batt. Now every time I click Aux To Batt and my energy feeds into my purple energy feeds into the green energy, these three officers will also reduce the recharge time of all my bridge officer abilities. So that means I'll be able to click these bridge officer abilities more often. These hopefully that will work for these miracle worker clickies. I'm hoping. I haven't really checked it, but it's just a fun build. And I have 3 of them, so they can chain together, so they've got more chance of activating whenever I click 2 of these. I've got 2 of these and 3 technicians, so that I can continuously feed my auxiliary power into my weapons mostly. It will go into the green emergency battery, but that will help out my weapons mostly. Every time I click these, and that's why I've got 2 of these on here, so I can feed my auxiliary power as often as possible into my weapons. But also I've got these 3 on here, so that when I click these as often as possible, I'm also getting a cooldown on my bridge officer tools. So I'm constantly feeding energy into my weapons, while at the same time as reducing the cooldown on my bridge officer clickies. And since auxiliary to emergency battery is a bridge officer ability, that will be activatable more often because of these guys. And if it's activatable more often, then that means I'm sending auxiliary power into my weapons more often. Now, the thing is, because I'm using auxiliary to emergency battery, this console, its critical chance, critical severity is based on auxiliary power level, and because I'm sending my auxiliary power level away, I won't be getting the critical chance or severity from this console. But as I said before, I don't have it for its critical chance and critical severity. I've got it for its shield capacity. So, also with a Miracle Worker ship, you get these random things. One of them is Barclay Maneuver, which is pretty funny if we get that. When you click Tactical, Engineering or Science Bridge Officer abilities, you get a random event can occur. One of those events is called Barclay Maneuver, and we should watch for that because it's the funniest one of all. What it does is it creates a sort of copy of your ship that flies into the enemy on a suicide ramming run. And that's why it's called Barclay Maneuver, because it's named after Reginald Barclay from The Next Generation. Anyway, you've heard enough of my piss poor explanation of this stupid ass build. But it's always fun to experiment with things and mess about with builds just to see what you can come up with, and I'm quite pleased with this one. I mean, it's not a high damage build, but it does tend to survive. I mean, Miracle Worker tools do damage your ship. For example, exceed rated limits. While active, you suffer 3,000 electrical damage every second, so you're self-inflicting damage upon yourself. But it boosts your weapons, and if you've got good hull and shields, you can handle that damage. I suppose it's like you're constantly punching the enemy in the face. And when you click this, you'll punch them so hard that you break your own wrist. However, it will do additional damage. It will knock them on their ass. And your wrist will heal quickly if you've got good medicine. Something like that. It's like smacking them until it hurts you. But you can handle the pain because you're a tough little ship. Anyway, we'll start off by doing a couple of the new patrols, I think. So we activate the player versus enemy window, but instead of doing a team match, we'll do a patrol. Since all the patrols are listed here now. Well, not all of them, but many of them are listed here. And I think we'll start off with a straightforward one, Sentinels, where we lay out defense satellites to protect a science colony, a research facility. So let's do that. I spent a lot of time in the tailor customizing the appearance of this ship because I wanted to make it look like it was made of wood, or it had wooden finishings on it, because I like the idea of a wooden starship.
Let's get to work. Starfleet is studying a spore colony on the planetoid. It's a scientific research facility. No weapons, shields only. If Ja'ula or her lackeys come to visit, they'll be sitting ducks. Fortunately, we're here. We're carrying some defense satellites.
We'll skip his dialogue. As you can see, these patrols are on advanced difficulty. So let's go deploy our satellite and see what this does without emergency powered weapons, without fire at where we'll beam overload, without torpedo spread or torpedo high yield. And there's exceeded rated limits. It's a temporary damage reduction, but then it comes on strong. Okay, we'll take my loot. Where did he disappear to and come back? You can see the electrical damage I'm suffering, but it's not affecting me much with all the heals I've got. That was self-inflicted damage. But it's worth it for the additional firepower that it gives you. I suppose it's like having your weapons blow up in your hand. But before they do, they really hurt the enemy.
Heads up! An Alachi fleet just dropped out of war.
I'll stop here, put on threatening stance, track fire, and see what happens. You can see I'm getting some pretty good damage. And I'm not taking much self-inflicted. And the enemies seem to be suffering some sort of area effect which spreads damage from one to the other.
Let's get satellite Gamma online while we can.
So the one I'm shooting at is not the only one getting damaged. That damage is spreading to other ones nearby. And I didn't think I'd use threatening stance or attract fire, but it seems to be working all of a sudden. Ship's a little slow. That's why I added one of the traits for increased turn rate and speed. We'll stop here.
I was afraid of this. More Alachi.
And activate. One of them's going to blow up twice by the looks of things. Yep, there he goes. He blew up twice. Not that anyone was near him to suffer the blast wave, but... And my weapon haste is working. As I say, it's a silly build, but it seems to work. There's the electrical damage again, but it's hardly affecting me at all. I think this time we'll try the quantum phase beam on something, just to show what it does from that 3-piece quantum phase set. Just give me a moment to get in position. Now, where's a big target? There is no big target. Watch his shields when I fire this. Watch his shields. Oh, the shield facing was already depleted. But that's the big beam from quantum phase. Now hopefully he'll blow up twice with any luck. There he goes once. I'm not sure if you have to be within 4 kilometers to get to blow up twice. Maybe you do. I'm not exactly flying it this perfectly, but I'm trying to demonstrate what it does. I mean, this isn't bad. It's advanced difficulty, and it's not bad for not having emergency powered weapons and things like that. And the main tactical abilities. I'm having to concentrate a little bit, but not too much. And I just remodulated my shields, but I've just realised I haven't used reverse shield polarity yet. And that's unusual for an advanced patrol, especially with threatening stance and attract fire on. This might work out as a tank after all. Right, let's have a look at his shields while we line up the quantum phase beam. And it's nuking down his shields nicely. Tetrion damage. And now exceed rated limits. Confuse, blow up twice, and and bonus weapon damage. Might as well put on frenzy at the same time. Find a new target. See, they're all damaged, even though I'm not using fire at will or torpedo spread. Trying to target the right one, but sometimes targeting's not working very well in these new patrols. Trying not to use too much of a heal. Let's go for them again. Keep them chaining. The quantum phase accuracy doesn't work too well. But I didn't really need much healing at all there because of my passive healing. I didn't need to reverse shield polarity at all, or miraculous repairs.
There's a few dozen people down there who will sleep a little easier tonight thanks to our efforts.
So, what marks do I need? I don't really need any, but let's see which I'm the lowest on. Dyson Sphere. 45 marks, that's true, because after the maintenance yesterday, they increased the amount of marks you get on your first playthrough, because it was 15, it's now 45.
The Alachi,
There is something I forgot to mention about Miracle Worker specialization, and that's the clicky you get just from using that specialization, which is this. It improves your healing and your resistances and your flight turn rate. But I haven't needed it yet. This just comes from, this isn't a bridge officer tool. This just comes from actually having Miracle Worker specialization active. Like this diversionary tactics, this threatening this diversionary tactic comes from having strategist as an active specialization, the same as this. Give her all she's got. But I haven't needed it. It's a heal, but I haven't needed it. I think I have overdone it with the heals on this ship. But let's do another patrol. Within the Briars. Kind of like this one because it's a bit of an unusual challenge. And it's a good test for a ship of this capability. And it just looks good.
I'm picking up signals from automated harvester units.
Okay, standards.
I'm betting the Mokai will come after us after we take out their tech. Stay sharp.
I like to make sure that it's still on advanced, because you never know, I might accidentally choose one that doesn't have an advanced play.
Shutting that thing down.
This has been a kind of odd video this time, but mostly it's because I was lacking time to make a video because of all the new content that's came out, and I had to grind it all out on all my different characters. So it's kind of rather a quick video, a quickly put together video. So that's why I'm using such an unusual, odd build that doesn't really make too much sense. The quantum phase beam nuked his shields and all his power level just then. I probably will need reverse shield polarity in this.
Hate to say I told you.
And it continues firing at the Metreon gas, even though it's not using fire at will or anything like that. Now on this one, the Klingons don't wait for you to deal with the radiation. They just turn up straight away as soon as you get here.
That was fast.
quantum phase torpedo doing its work.
Sensors are clear for now. Let's deal with that harvester.
If you have trouble activating these, it's because they don't activate in this mini game. It's because it doesn't activate while combat is happening, because it's too much confusion for your sensors. So it waits till everything has settled down before it will activate.
Two down, one to go. Oh.
Now on this last one, the Alachi should turn up to help out, and it should be a pretty big battle. And I've still got threatening. Oh no, threatening stance is not on anymore. I'll have to switch it back on when the ships turn up. I just want to see. I'll probably die, but I just want to see if it works. There's the quantum phase beam dealing with that shield. Whoa, and they put something on me. They do that. I don't know what it is yet that the Klingons put on me, but they, as you can see, I was standing perfectly still there, but they still managed to push me out the way. Set my engines to full. I believe there is something that does that in this game, but I can't remember what it is. So now I've returned. Firing cycle haste. This is easy, he says right before he dies. Now I'm using the. Now I'm getting the damage. And my own subsystems are being knocked offline. Now I had to use reverse shield polarity. I'm tempted to use miraculous repairs, but it's kind of cheating. Increase my threat level just for the hell of it. My hull is regenerating. Oh, the shields are regenerating pretty damn fast, but I'm not sure if it's going to be fast enough. I'm going to take some damage now. Because he blew up right on my hull. But that surprised the hell out of me. I had threatening stance on, increasing with diversionary tactics and attack fire. That kind of surprised me actually. I didn't expect the ship to be as tanky. So, where's that radiation thing? There it is. Now why aren't my shields regenerating? There they go. It probably takes 6 seconds now that we're out of combat. And then it's every 6 seconds from then onwards for a little bit of a passive regeneration. A little bit every 6 seconds.
That was something. Still debating whether it was terrifying or gratifying or both, but it was something.
See, it's down to 22 marks now, not 45. But it's still not down to 15. This really helped in that match, I believe. Even though it only lasts for 30 seconds, it helped during the initial attack before the Alachi turned up in that last phase. So now let's do a couple of team matches. Just to really try out this ship, we'll filter for space ones. And I suppose it's hard to know what to do. Suppose we could try out Herald Sphere. Even though we haven't really got much speed. And the Swarm might be the wrong one without Fire at Will, but Herald Spheres came up, so we'll think about the second match afterwards. So it is advanced, of course. Now, I'm not sure. I haven't really done many team matches in this. I've done some ISAs and some Kitamers, but that's about it. And it seems to be holding its own. But this will be the first time I've taken it into Herald Sphere to see what it can do. Let's just say, so far it hasn't let the teams down. But it hasn't exactly shone on any team either. I've been playing the new content quite a lot on 12 different characters just to get it all done. So I haven't really had time to make a proper build video. But then again, you know me, my videos are usually just warts and all. But I kind of like this build. It's fun. It works. It surprises me all the time. Especially since it's not using those key tools like Fire at Will and stuff. But it's still able to hold its own with most teams. I can't remember if I've blown up in it yet or not. But this might be the one where I do. I think I'll take a tracked fire off in this instance, in this case, and not bother with threatening stance. Not when up against the Iconians. Well, that quantum phase was wasted as I overshot it. I'm not sure, I'll have to check the video back, but did that bomb blow up twice? Ah, here I go with the slowness of this ship. It's a very slow ship, even when you try and boost its speed. Unless you want to go all out speed boosting, it's not exactly going to get fast. Well, can I make it blow up twice? That's once. That's twice. Yeah. Vomp blowing up twice. Unless I'm misreading the situation, it looks like it was blowing up twice. It's hard to tell sometimes with all the visual spam.
Stop the Herald Force gateway opening!
It's this one. Actually, somebody better go for that one. You always lose the optional on this. I can't turn very well. And he's not going to die within 15 seconds. There's the quantum phase beam. Was that 15 seconds? Will he blow up a second time? That's once. No, I don't think he will. Only occurs in certain circumstances, means the bugs are intended. I don't really need to hit these miracle worker tools, to be honest, on this build. Even though it's supposed to be centered around them. Now, come on, blow up twice, please. Was that teleported? Hang on a minute, where am I? I can't see what I'm doing. There we are. Oh, why didn't I just stay there? It's always the same, as soon as you move away, that's when it happens. Now, will they blow up twice? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell because other players have got their own abilities that beat me to the punch. Trying to target the big ship with all that visual spam. Need the turn rate. And as soon as I clicked my big turn rate ability, everything ended right there and then. Wasting the ability. Right, let's get to that gateway and now we've got to skip the cutscene when we get through and hit full impulse straight away or we die. Skip cutscene, full speed, fire, and hope not to die in the onslaught because they're waiting for us. I shouldn't be so concerned with picking up loot. Somebody's got a good gravity well. Now, will it blow up twice? Come on, do it again. Do it again. Yes! I think 2 of them blew up twice. That's what makes this build fun. If you can get a big target to blow up twice. Yep, that did it again. So it does work. But somebody's gravity welling everything into perfect position in the middle just so I can just lazily orbit it around and blow it all up. Why am I spamming my keybind when I'm not actually in range? That's because I'm a terrible keybind spammer. Now, will he blow up twice again? No, I think somebody disintegrated it before I could get him to blow up twice. Using abilities that I don't even know of. Well, I was out of range when I clicked them because I wasn't paying attention. My Techion cascade timed perfectly with his sticky web, which is also Techion damage, I believe.
Energy levels in the sphere are rising. Check it out.
Now on to the boss. I doubt I'll be able to get him to blow up twice, but we can try. Whoops, wrong button. Didn't need to close the gateway. Probably be blown up before I get there now.
Sensor reading shows that the ship is controlling the gateway. Destroy it. The ship is drawing power from the gateway.
I've got to time this if I want him to blow up twice, but I don't know if I can do it. I might have to be within 4 kilometers, I can't remember. So I might have to get a bit closer. I want to wait until he's going to die within 15 seconds before I activate it. Oh, don't push him away. There, I've activated the blow up twice thing. Once. No, it's not going to work, is it? Maybe it's an imaginary thing. Like the cutting mines. Got to pretend they're cutting into your hull. Anyway, we survived and we didn't need to do too much healing. It wasn't a challenge, really. So that's not bad for a pug. This ship continues to surprise me. But I have overdone it with the healing abilities. With the traits and stuff. Sacrificed a bit too much crits for healing. But you're learning as we learn. As I learn, so are you, hopefully. Anyone watching? So what shall we try next? I think we'll give it a try in Swarm, because that's totally the wrong place to try this ship, so I think I want to try it. Because the Herc get on your tail, and it depends on fire at will to kill them. So this is totally the wrong build for that, since it's not using a multi-target attack. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I wonder if I dare put on threatening stance. Have a bit of the smoke while I'm waiting. Shouldn't take too long. This queue really takes long. I did spend a fair bit of time on the tailor, with this ship's customization. I think it's got the veteran hull on it. And I believe the pattern is Corvus. And I wanted to make it look like it had a wooden finish, although the only truly wooden looking ship you can get is the Guardian Cruiser, I believe. The only truly wooden look you can achieve. It also depends on the lighting. I really like the detail they've gone into on these Miracle Worker ships. I mean, I didn't like them at first because of their large neck, but it grows on you after a while. And the appearance is very detailed on some of it, like these things on the nacelles, the way they stick out. No, they're not just flat textures. They're actually modelled things. Lots of fine detail. And I appreciate that in a starship, because I like to make my starships look a bit space Barbie-ish. Swarm shouldn't take too long, hopefully. I'm actually in the Kabali battle zone system, which I found the Kabali battle zone seems to be a lot easier these days. Hopefully I can get this done before I start busting for the loon. I don't know what motivated me to do a silly build like this, but I like to experiment. Even though I don't know half the things I'm doing, I just try them and see if they work, see if they achieve a result. I'm more interested in the result than what the ship actually does. To see if it's just playable, that's all. Rather than its specific abilities. I did try an exceeded rated limits build once before, and it got a lot more damage than this is doing. But still, I can't remember what that build was. And maybe I was using energy amplifiers at the time as well, and emergency power weapons. But it's nice to try without using the standard stuff. Without using the standard tools. This match is taking a while to queue. It's not good for a video just to sit in space like this waiting for a match. I may have to edit a bit out, but I've never done that on my videos before because I don't have editing software. But there is no free editing software that's decent and retains all the quality of your picture image and file type. I may have to queue for another one. Because Swarm is taking way too long. I suppose we could try. I don't want to do a Borg one. Oh, here we go. We're ready. I wonder if I dare put on threatening stance and all that garb. Sometimes I spend ages just looking at my ship, drooling over it, just from its appearance, not from its strength. Okay, Odo. Time for you to miscall the battle. Okay, what the hell? We're not a tank, but what the hell? We got too much healing on. I'll save diversionary tactics for when I'm in the midst of the enemy. Which is damn stupid. Oh, someone else has put on a track 5 by the looks of things. I might have tank help. Either that or they just changed it to weapons. Oops, I didn't. Oh, there was a miracle worker ability. Now threatening stance properly on. Get everything going. Did I actually send power to one of them just now by accident? Might as well just... Whoops. I tried to anti-time them, but I didn't quite get it right. I was too quick on the button. I'm just orbiting. When you're using threatening stance and things like that, it's best to actually stay still in the middle of your enemy rather than orbiting like this. Gotta collect me loot. That's more important than saving the Jemadar. And I've got fast players here who can get to it quicker than I can. It didn't feel like my threatening stance was making much of a difference. Can't get close enough to him quick enough.
Well done.
Yeah, we got a super player in here by the looks of it. Someone is. Maybe that vengeance. Loot is more important than anything else for me.
The satellite is back online. It will launch tractor mines against the host.
Come on, chase me, bad guys. Swarm on me. Launching the mines is very helpful in this. Sometimes you get too lazy to do it, but it's surprising how much difference it makes if you can get a lot of mines launched. Let's go over there. And just fire everything off for no good reason. Completely waste my abilities on an overkill. Just for the fun of it.
Well done.
F key not working properly.
The last of the refugees.
Right, well I think I'll stay in the middle one. The middle lane. Always good to deploy mines. Because that really cuts into the enemy. Even if they are just tractor beam ones. Here they come. I'm too zoomed in, I think, but I like to stay a bit more zoomed in. Some players like to zoom all the way out in their ships. I don't. I like to actually see my ships up close. Yep, getting some nice damage on that. Now, will he blow up a second time? Yep. Looked like he did. Losing control of my camera a bit.
Refugee ships heading down escape route Alpha. Protect them.
Ah, screw Alpha. I'm on Beta. I know, it looks like it was the right choice to stay here as well.
Burke Dreadnought on sensors. Be careful.
There's that Dreadnought.
Ship spotted at escape route Gamma. Get over there.
Threatening stance. Diversionary tactics. Anti-time. Delta. Exceed. Frenzy. I think I almost got everything on him. He's dead anyway. I like it when they push you out the way when you're in a cannon boat, because they push you and extend your time on target. I mean, the Herc tend to push when you're in a cannon boat strafing towards the Herc. Sometimes they will try and push you back which increases your strafing time, increases your time on target. That's blown once, and there he goes again.
Head to escape route Beta. Protect the refugee ships.
Every time I click destabilize warp core, he blows up twice. Target blows up twice, and it does seem to be working, but only if he blows up within 15 seconds of activating it. That's why I use my quantum phase beam, just to try and get him to die quickly. And it will affect any other enemies around the target by causing blast damage,
All lanes will be utilized now.
I believe.
Refugee ships heading down escape route Alpha. Protect them.
I'm not wasting my engine power, my weapon power for engines. And the confused placape thing, I think it's this, is it? No point flood. It actually works to reduce the amount of damage I'm taking. A little too over quick on the diversionary threat increase.
Turk ship spotted at escape route Gamma. Get over there.
Isn't overkill fun? I mean, he's not a high damage ship, but he does have a lot of overkill abilities. I mean, what are my weapons doing right now? 3,000. Which is good. Surprisingly good, actually, considering that it's only a 40k ship. It's that damn shield these Herc can angle. I'm sort of thinking this narrow sensor bands gives me more damage than exceed rated limits, especially if I'm close to the target. He pushed me away perfectly there so I could keep more time on target.
Get over there.
I'm not worried about my shields too much because my hull seems okay. And I'm not worried about angling around his special shield either. And he pushed me away again so I could get him even more. Yeah, my shields were down through a lot of that, but I didn't really care, did I? I'm having too much fun. Hey, Beta is safe with me. Beta lane. Will he blow up again? Yep. Hey, we got through this quite easily. And I didn't even use reverse shield polarity. I don't think I did. I'll have to check back and see, but I don't think I did, and that vengeance don't need my help. They never do. But they get it anyway. And I won't get there in time.
That's everyone. We did what we could.
Yeah, he survived Swarm fairly well. That was fun.
Focus their next strikes on an...
That was a lot of fun. And exceed rated limits is still going. I noticed on my weapons just then. So, it's a surprisingly usable build, playable build, despite making absolutely no sense and going away from all the metas and norms. I think there is a meta called exceed rated limits, but I don't know whether this falls into that category or not, because this is just something odd that I did. I wanted to try out all the different miracle workers, as many as I had unlocked anyway. I just want to try something. We're at 2098 phaser damage. Now if I click everything, hit my spam, everything I can click while just sitting here, and then see 2700 we went up to. Which is pretty damn good. It's gone up again! Just from sitting here. Look at it, staying at 2800 for a short time. And then down to... It's still more than what it was. And it's staying there for a while. 10 seconds, I believe. And now it's gone back to normal. So, let's have a quick review of what I was using again to close out the video. So it's Quantum Phase full set, beam, torpedo and console. Not totally fully upgraded agony weapons, but not fully upgraded. Colony deflector, Nukara 2-piece, synergistic retrofit in 2-piece, timeline stabilizer, 2 Lobby store consoles, the Omega 2-piece, and improved phaser damage and crits, along with Miracle Worker as primary, traits centered around passive regeneration and increasing capacity of shields and hull, and very unusual bridge officer layout, bridge officer tool selection, along with my Aux To Batt technicians that aren't really 100% logical for this build, but they're good enough. And we never looked at my stats, did we? That's pretty okay power transfer, very good hull, pretty good shield regeneration considering I'm not using the weekly combat boost from the research lab. Good shield capacity, good resistances. Now, when I was building this ship, I had some different gear on I was trying out, and I did manage to get the crit chance up to 29 while having the severity at 150, but I found I thought I'd sacrifice some of that to add in some more Miracle Worker bridge officer tools and traits and things. So I did deliberately handicap some of the firepower, but I wanted to go full Miracle Worker just to see what I could do. And the speed and turn rate ain't great. And the resistances aren't great. Neither is the drains, but they still seem to work somehow with all the passives that are going on. And the hardness and stuff. So there you have it. One sort of my take on a Miracle Worker exceed rated limits build. Although I do tend to find that narrow sensor bands is giving me more damage than... Well, I don't know, because exceed rate limits is activatable more often than narrow sensor bands, I believe, but narrow sensor bands gives more damage to compensate for its lesser activeness. And it's causing electrical damage, but as you can see, my passives can handle it easily. Let's activate them the other way around in a minute when it cools down, just to see. And the weapon buff is still going on. I didn't actually watch for these miracle worker randoms that come up, but they did. I just wasn't watching for them. I did notice one come up, some sort of energy wave. As you can see, the weapons go down first before they go back up. It's like you've overloaded your EPS system in order to shunt power into the weapons. So after they've overloaded, then the weapons fire. And they fire big. So there you have it. This is Alt Lexington with his silly ass build. Due to not having much time to make a video, to think about a video, and because of all the grinding that's been going on with the new content, which I love, by the way. Thanks for watching. Please like if you had a laugh at this silly ass build. Subscribe if you feel you want to see more of my videos. But most importantly, I'd like to see some comments. Maybe you've got some suggestions on how to do a proper exceeded rated limit build or something like that. Or you've got an idea for a silly ass build that you might like me to try and see if I can do. Anyway, enjoy your awakening playthrough, and thanks for watching. Bye! I'm giving it all she's got, Captain, anymore, and the whole thing will blow! Bye.